Hello, this video is part of our job coach training for RIU 6. This job coach training is for folks who are going to be taking our students out into the community to work on either our TANF grant or our OVR's pre-ETS program. The majority of you will be doing the OVR pre-ETS program. Basically, when you do a paid work experience, it's all done basically the same way. There's some tips and things for you to follow when you take students out so that you're successful and, more importantly, they are successful. All right, so tips for success. Be on time. Okay, the first day, employers understand you're still trying to figure out where the student is, how far it takes to get to work, etc. But after the first day, you should be on time every day. I would shoot to be there a little bit early, to get inside early so the student can get settled and ready to go. So they can get to the break room if they need to, put their lunch away, etc., so that the student is ready to work on time. If the student starts at 5, they should be ready 5 minutes till. This is good for the employer, it's good for us, and it's good for you. Okay, no cell phones for students. If a student brings a cell phone, it should be left in the car, left in the van, left in the glove box. Some employers actually have places where students can lock up their, have a locker where they can lock their cell phones. If they want to use it during break or during lunch, that's fine. But while they are working, they are not to have their cell phones. Okay, limited cell phone usage for coaches. Now, granted, we all have kids, we all have things that come up, so you can carry a cell phone. Please limit the use of your cell phone. One of the major complaints we get from employers is the job coach is looking at their phone, surfing on their phone, etc. We've had CVS, for example, used a different provider before they started using us, and they got rid of that provider because their job coaches were on their cell phones all the time. You're being paid to watch our students. Please do so. If a call comes in you have to take, that's not a problem. If something comes up you got to call, that's not a problem either. It's pretty self-explanatory. All right, develop rapport with the employer. It's important that when you walk in, you ask them how they're doing, kind of develop a relationship with them, a friendly relationship with them. If the employer likes you, they're more likely to like the student. Encourage the student to develop rapport with the employer. And then, as the student develops rapport, kind of pull back yourself so that there becomes a relationship between the employer and the student. This will make the likelihood of the employer wanting the student to work there alone or possibly hiring the student, it'll make that chance go up if they have good rapport. Okay, ask the employer if there's anything else they would like for you to do. Now, many employers are reluctant to say anything. For your first day there, what I would do is when you're talking to an employer, say, hey, if there's something I could be doing, please let me know. If there's a problem, anything, please let me know. And then ask them often, is there something else that I could be doing for you? All right, time off. All right, employers should be contacted if the student is to miss a day. There's a typo in this slide. Okay, so if a student's going to miss a day of work, say they're going to call off, they should call the employer and let them know that they're going to be off that day. If they call you, you need to make sure that the student calls the employer. The employer needs to know, as soon as possible. Okay, calling the IU doesn't help because we're not the employer. We're not the person that they have the working relationship with. Okay, a student should let the employer know ahead of time to schedule the day off. Okay, a student knows what their schedule is. If they know they have a doctor's appointment next Tuesday, you should let that employer know way ahead of time that they're going to be off, that they're going to schedule that day off on Tuesday. Our students only are allowed to miss so many days as far as calling off goes. And, that day, the day of, if I have a doctor's appointment, I need to be off, we're going to count that as a sick day. Okay, students have, I think through OVR, it's 3 days. If they miss 3 days, then they're done. Their placement ends. They lose their job. Tardiness is the same thing. If they're tardy, if they're late, they only get so many of them before they lose their job. So keep that in mind. Please remind the student it's not school. It's a real job. The employer expects them to be there. If they have to be off, the employer needs to know ahead of time because they're going to have to reschedule someone to do the job that the student was to do. Okay, the work site. Student should be in your site during working hours. Okay, you should be the student should be able to see you. As we become more independent, of course, you can sneak off so the student can't really see you, so you can kind of get an idea of what they do when you're not around. And of course, occasionally they may go with another employer or something else, and you can keep your distance. But you should know where they are at all times, for the most part. As if you're successful in making them independent, as you get towards the end of your placement, of course, you won't see them as much. For example, if you have a student who's at McDonald's and is working in the kitchen, and you know they're working independently, and you know we have natural support set up, it's okay for you to sit in the dining room and work on other stuff, or work on your paperwork. That's fine. That you can't directly see them, but you know where they are. If they're independent, if the student is still depending on you to give them tips, to try to help them, to explain what to do, you should be with them. Okay. Again, can't stress this enough. Do not use your cell phone in excess. Okay. Communicate with the employer daily to gather input if possible. We covered this before. Ask the employer, how's he doing? How am I doing? Is there anything else I can be doing? Okay. Employers are surprisingly reluctant to say anything to you. They're surprisingly reluctant to say anything to the students. If the employer is willing to give the student feedback, even better. And we do have employers who are willing to do that, but some, I think, feel that they're not allowed to. So, let them know. It's like if the student's doing something wrong, tell them directly. So you can definitely tell me as a job coach, but tell the employer directly that the student is doing something wrong. I said, otherwise, if you don't get this communication, we could get 3/4 of the way through a placement, and when I reach out to the employer, they're not happy about something. So again, ask the employer to let you know if they have any questions or concern on the first day of the placement. Open up that communication. Please let me know if there's something else I can be doing. Please let me know if you're not happy with something, and we'll make that change. All right, develop supports for the student. Develop natural supports. Is there a person there that can help your student if there's a question, if there's a concern? If, let's say, your student has trouble getting back on time from break for some reason, they can't read their watch, they can't read the clock. Is there an employee who you could count on to remind them, hey, if your break time is up, come back to work, or hey, it's time for your break. Anyway, natural supports are just things that are places or people, basically people that the student can turn to for help if you're not around. Of course, our number one goal is for the student to work independently and to be hired by the employer. So if the student has needs, is there someone there who can help them meet those needs? Use checklists. If a student is unable to remember what it is they're supposed to be doing, or remember what order things are supposed to be done, you can develop a checklist for them to go through. I had a student who was helping, she had a job cleaning classrooms after school, and the head custodian reached out to me and said, she's not doing a very good job on these classrooms. And when I stepped in to work with her, I realized she couldn't remember everything that she was supposed to do. So we developed a checklist with every single thing she was supposed to do in that classroom before she moved on to the next. So from that point on, she just used that checklist. She would go right down the line and do every task that was on that checklist, check it off as she went, move to the next classroom, and do it again. And of course, after a few weeks, she memorized it all, and she was good to go. Okay, will the student need to watch her timer for breaks? Okay, so one of the problems that we have is when a student goes to break, they don't understand when they're supposed to come back. Okay, so do we need to buy them a watch? If we do, let me know. We have money for that. Do we need to get them an egg timer? So when they go on break, they can just put 15 in it, and when it goes off, they come back. Okay, if they need those kind of things, let me know. Okay, assistive devices. Okay, this is a student, let's say if they're using a tape measure, do they need one of those cheater tape measures? Do they need, if they're using decimals or something, do they need a conversion chart? Do they need a calculator? Is there anything else you can think of that they could use to help them complete the job that they are currently working on? Timesheets. Turn your timesheets as soon as possible after they're completed. If a student completes a timesheet, send it to me. The sooner you get it to me, the sooner I can get it into the system, the sooner everybody will get paid. Same thing with your own timesheet. As soon as it's finished, send it to me and I can get it into the system. We only pay every 2 weeks. So if you miss the cutoff day by a day, You have to wait 2 weeks to get paid again. So every other week, our cutoff day for timesheets is Monday morning at 9 a.m. Anything that comes in after that waits 2 weeks to get paid. If you have any more questions, please let me know. Okay, so the timesheets, you can send them in the envelope provided. If you don't have any envelopes, please let me know. We try to give them to everybody when they start working with students. If not, you can scan it and send it to dwolf@riu6.org. Okay. Again, just a reminder from the training video, only go one direction on your timesheet. Again, if you start at the top and you work your way to the bottom of the timesheet, you can't go back up to the top again. So if the last entry at the bottom is January 1st, Wednesday, January 1st, you can't put Thursday, January 2nd on the top of that timesheet. It has to go down at all times. And if you have any questions, see the forms training video that you more than likely have already viewed, or reach out to me and I will explain it to you. Student and coaches are paid bi-weekly. Okay, a lot of times the students start working. When am I going to get paid? When am I going to get paid? And they get frustrated. You get paid bi-weekly. It's just the way it works. We can't make it any faster. It's how I get paid. It's how you get paid. It's how everybody at the IU gets paid. Okay, student checks are sent on Fridays. There's no typo. They're sent on Fridays. So it goes out in the mail on Fridays. So the student might get it Saturday. He might get it Monday. And we've had crazy things where it's been Tuesdays. We do send it out on Fridays. We have no control over the mail. Okay, make sure you and your student sign the timesheet. If you turn in a timesheet that is unsigned, we will not pay it. I will get back to you, but if you're cutting it close to the deadline of when you're going to get paid, it might bump it for an extra 2 weeks before you see it. Okay, use decimals to indicate hours. Another typo. Use the decimals to indicate hours. Okay, on the bottom of the timesheet, it explains how to do that. So if it's 1 hour and 15 minutes, it's 1.25. If it's 1 hour and 30 minutes, that's 1.5, etc. And that is it. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Number is 814-512-6507 or at the email address dwolfe@riu6.org. Thanks for watching.